Welcome back to my channel. I'm back with another Chinese dim sum recipe. This is really quite easy to make, and today I'm going to teach you how to make dim sum style sesame balls. Alright, for this recipe we need about a cup of red beans. For this we're going to soak the red beans in water till the water comes to about an inch above the red beans, and let this soak overnight. So we'll check back on you in the morning. Alright, after soaking them overnight, let's go ahead and strain your red beans. Let's add about 4 or 5 cups of water. Let's go ahead and let's bring this over to the stove and start heating it up. Now we're going to cook this over a medium-high heat until it starts boiling, and then once it starts boiling, we're going to cook it for an additional hour until the red beans are soft and mashed up in with a fork. So we'll check back on you after an hour. So alright, after cooking for at least an hour, what we're looking for is the red beans to be really soft to the touch. So basically just grab a small amount. You can see right here. And it should be really soft and that's basically what we're looking for. So alright, let's move on to the next step. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and strain off the red beans. Grab a bowl. Give our red beans a quick rinse with water. Alright, we're going to take a big saucepan and transfer our red beans. And let's bring this back to the stove. Alright, we're going to set our stove to medium-low. Bring back our red bean paste. And we're going to measure out 1 cup of sugar and add about half of that into your red bean paste. Now we're going to stir that until the sugar all dissolves. And then we're going to add the rest of our sugar. Now just for a quick tip, if you want to really enhance the sweetness of your red beans and get rid of any of those bitter tastes, add a pinch of salt to your red bean. This will really enhance the sweetness flavor of your red beans. So alright, at this point you have 2 options. You can either process it by hand, which will give you a really chunky red bean paste, or you can put it through a food processor or a blender, which will give you a more silky flavor. And that's really up to preference and to how you like your sesame balls. Personally, I like to have it at a smooth paste, so I'm going to process it through a blender. Alright, after putting your red bean, sugar, salt paste into your blender, you should have a nice smooth consistency similar to this. So basically you don't need to over boil your sugar, because a lot of that sugar will get reabsorbed into the red bean and give a nice solid consistency like this. So basically what you're looking for in terms of paste is if you could take a knife and if you could draw a line, big line through your paste similar to this, that's the consistency you're looking for. So alright, let's cover it up and cool it down, and let's proceed to the next step. Alright, for the sesame seed ball, I'm going to be using glutinous rice flour. This comes in a green bag, and for this we need about cup and a half, or about 150 grams. With this, we also need about exactly 100 mils of water. Measure it out. All right. So before we begin, we're gonna take out 2 tablespoons of glutinous rice flour. And the reason because of this is because how water interacts with oil when we start deep frying. By doing this method, it'll be a little bit more or less explosive, if you can say. For this, we're going to measure about maybe 10 mils of water, or a little bit less than a tablespoon of water. And we'll just incorporate this first batch together until it forms to a nice ball. And slowly add water to it until it coagulates into. Be careful not to over add the water, and just add slowly, bit by bit, until the glutinous rice flour forms into a solid ball. And that's basically what we're looking for when we make our first small batch of glutinous rice flour. Now we're going to head over to the stove and boil some water and cook this for about 2 or 3 minutes. All right, with our water boiling here, we're going to grab our glutinous rice ball and just dump it in. And we're going to let that cook for about 2 to 3 minutes. While that's cooking, make sure you have a bowl of ice water ready and handy, because we're going to cool it down after the 2 to 3 minutes. All right, after 2 to 3 minutes, one thing you notice that the rice ball is cooked is that the ball is floating in the water. So all right, let's transfer it to our ice water bath. All right, with our glutinous rice ball cooling down, let's move on to mixing the rest of the dough. All right, with the remaining glutinous rice flour, we're going to add about 80 grams of sugar. We'll also add about a half a teaspoon of baking powder. Grab your chopsticks and mix the flour a bit. Grab your rice flour ball, just dump it in there. With your hands, just basically work that dough in. And gradually add the remaining amount of your water into the mixture. Slowly, bit by bit, slowly by slowly. Mixing it for about 5 to 6 minutes, you should have a nice elastic dough. Get your non-stick mat. Flour it with some of your glutinous rice flour from earlier. All right, with your glutinous rice flour ball, it should weigh around 330 grams, and we're gonna make about 20 balls of this. So let's chop it up in 20 balls, and they should weigh around close to 16 grams each. All right, let's chop it up. All right, with our glutinous rice ball rolled out, grab your red bean paste from the fridge, and let's start making our sesame balls. Basically grab one of your glutinous rice ball, basically make an indent inside. Basically, we're just pushing inside of the ball until we get a nice rounding it out on the inside. All right, with our glutinous rice ball caved in, we're gonna add about half a tablespoon of our bean paste in the center, and basically we just pinch it over. And then twirl it around your hand to get a nice even ball. And we'll continue the process with the rest of these balls. Alright, with all our glutinous rice balls stuffed with red bean paste, let's head on to the next step. For the next step, we need a bowl of sesame seed and just a bowl of water. For this, we're going to basically use one hand to pick up the ball and dump in the water and transfer it to the sesame seed, and use our other hand to roll the sesame ball and pick it out. This way, it makes things a lot more easier. So, like this, twirl it around, dump it there, just twirl it around. There we go. One sesame seed ball. And just repeat the process with the rest of the balls with 2 snaps of the finger. Alright, let's start cleaning up and let's start cooking our oil. Alright, we already have our oil heated at around 330 degrees to 350 degrees. And let's start adding about 3 to 5 sesame balls at a time. Here we go. Now we want to cook these for about 6 to 7 minutes. This recipe. If you like the recipe and you found it informative, hit the like button. And like always, happy cooking and peace out.